This is Gemara and Yoma Daf Lamed, all the learning for this month, the month of Iyar, on the final day of Iyar, the month of Refuah. Isani Hashem Reifecha has been generously sponsored as a Schus Refuah Shlema for Rivka Bas Basheva, as well as a Schus Refuah Shlema for Naftali Simon Michel Esther. The learning of the entire Chabura as we conclude Iyar should be a tremendous Schus Refuah Shlema. Mirta Hashem, they should have a complete and easy recovery. Of course, the rest of our Chayim men Vaveg Chaim and Sar Shalom Stephen Reizal Zarbas Kanendol Itabasim As Chayesay Yisol Mindol as a present Shmuel ben Tehila. Daniel ben Khan reads in Mechai Besmin Libracha Stav Musa Din Ina Beshin Mendel Simcha Steve and Fega Divar and Michel Sivar and Huva Machamenda ben Toba Besoy Sharchali Israel was a Shidach for Etol Leah Bas Ita. We pick it up in the bottom of Chav Tassim Beis, 3 lines in the bottom. Before we begin, just a bit of an apology. I know that yesterday's podcast went up a bit late. A big thank you to Rav Ofek for the reminder. Hopefully, Mirz Hashem, everything should be up back on time. And as always, the YouTube Shirim always get up a little bit earlier just due to the technicality of everything. But in Mirz Hashem, Daf Chavtas, Daf Lamed, everything should hopefully be up back in the appropriate time. Says the Gemara Zak Lali B'Mikdash. We learned in the Mishnah that there was a rule in the Beis HaMikdash that if you went to the bathroom for a Gedailim, number 2, what's the rule? You got to go to the mikveh afterwards. If you went to the bathroom for a ketanim urine, you got to do kiddush yadayim v'raglayim. You got to wash your hands and your legs by the kir. Says the Gemara, b'shlam raglayim misham nitzaitis. I understand why you washing your feet. The kohanim didn't wear shoes, didn't wear socks, so their feet, and there wasn't bathrooms. So when they went to the bathroom, when they urinated, what might have happened? A little bit of the nitzaitis, a little bit of the droplets might have gotten on their toes. Eliyadayin and my time. Why are they washing their hands? Their hands didn't necessarily get dirty. Rav Abba explains, Rav Abba, Zaysai Meretz, we see from over here, as we turn over to today's Daf Lamed, mitzvah l'shavshev. There is a mitzvah to wipe off any droplets of urine from your feet, in order to no one should suspect that you're a kroshivcha, as we'll explain in one moment. Now the Gemara says, and this is how we're going to explain, Messiah leila Ravami, this arayah to Ravami, Damar Ravami, also la'adam, sheyatza b'nitzaita shel raglov. You cannot, it's also forbidden to walk around with droplets of urine on your feet. What's the reason? Mibnei shenira ke kroshivcha, because someone might think you're a kroshivcha, u'moitilaz al banav shei mamzirin, and people might suspect that your children are not your children. As the Tab Rashi over here explains that basically a Kruv Shivcha is someone that has an issue with his male organ, and that causes that the urine, the Meiraglayim, doesn't come out with a nice stream. It sort of trickles down. It trickles down, and that's the reason why it gets your feet wet. So if someone is walking around with feet that are wet from urine, you know what someone's going to think? Someone's going to suspect. Unfortunately, he's a Kruv Shivcha. Therefore, what? Explains Rashi, a Kruv Shivcha can't have any children. So people see this guy walking around with his feet wet. People think he has an issue. He can't have children. Wait, he has children. Must be they're not his kids. And people are going to suspect his children and say mighty las that they're not his children, that they are mamzirim, and therefore that's the reason you must wipe off your feet. So our Mishnah that taught us that a kohen has to wash his hands and his legs is a right to this opinion. Because why is he washing his hands? It must be he wiped off his feet from any meiraglayim. A beautiful raya to this din of Rav Ami. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Papa, a bit of a side, unrelated topic, but of course almost related, discussing a bit more bathroom halachas. This will bring us back to a nostalgic day about 2 years ago when we learned Gemara Brachas, a little more than 2 years ago. Some Gemaras from Brachas. Amar Rav Papa, Tsaya b'mekaymai aser likreis kriyishma. If there is saya in its proper place, well, not in its proper place where it comes out, someone does not wipe appropriately, and there's a little bit of saya left over, unfortunately. What's the halacha? Says Rav Papa, you're not allowed to say kriyishma. You're saying Dvarim Shebekdusha, you're being Makablo Malchus Shamayim. You're saying God's name, and there's saya, there's feces on you. That is not allowed in the din of Rav Papa. Says the Gemara, let's get a little bit nitty gritty. Hey Chidami, what's the case? If you could see the saya, Pshita. Of course you can't say Kriyishma, just like you're not allowed to say Kriyishma if there's saya sitting in front of you. I need to lie near it. And if you can't see it, it's on your body in a place you don't see it. Ask the Gemara, I don't understand. You're telling me because he didn't wipe properly, it's a little bit of tzaya left on his body, that he's not allowed to say Shkriyishma? The Torah wasn't given to angels. We're human beings. And what are we supposed to do? There might be a dot of feces on a person. Might be a dot of tzaya on his body. So says the Gemara, Mimanashach. If you could see it, it's pashit. If you can't see it, what's a person meant to do? Answers the Gemara, like you know what the case is? The Yoishe Veneris. When he's sitting, you can see the Tzaya. When you're Oimed Ve'enoineris, when you're standing, then you can't see it. And that's the Chiddush. The Chiddush over here is that you have this Tzaya, you have a little bit of Tzaya, and we'll see the reason we're being machmir on this. But you have a little bit of feces on the body. When you're sitting, it's visible, whatever that means. When you stand up, it's not visible. So the halacha is going to be, like we just saw, says Rababa, you're not allowed to say Kriyishma. Says the Gemara, let's go back, Gemara and Brachas Daf Chavei, a little bit more than 2 years ago, says the Gemara, why is this any different than Saya on your body? The Itmar, as we learned this, I shouldn't say a little more than a year ago, I'm sorry, not 2 years ago. The Itmar, as we learned, Tsoya al Bisari. What's the halacha? If someone looks down, he has a little bit of Tsoya in his fingers, he changed the diaper, he got his hands a little dirty, whatever the case is, he has a bit of Tsoya, a bit of excrement on his body. Or let's say your hand is inside the bathroom. Just going to make one mention that the halachas that we're seeing here, I'm sure we mentioned this back then, their bathrooms are different than our bathrooms for many reasons, but la halacha, they are very different because there's something called a Beis HaKisei de Partzai, a Persian bathhouse, which basically the point was that the tzaya didn't sit there. The tzaya flew away. Similar to our tzaya, says the Paiskim. Our tzaya doesn't sit there. You flush and it goes bye-bye. So that's one of the reasons why the halachas that we're about to see might not be exactly the same. And therefore, just because your hand's in a bathroom nowadays, not necessarily it's going to have the same halachas. A big discussion, not for now. Says the Gemara, tzaya al b'sarei sheyadav Beis HaKisei, your hands are in the Beis HaKisei. Rav Huna Amar, mutter likros kriyishma. Rav Chisda Amar, also likros kriyishma. Asks the Gemara, we have a machlokes. There's soya on your hand's in a bathroom. Machlokes, could you say kriyishma or not? Both these opinions, Rav Huna and Rav Chisda, don't fit with Rav Papa. What did Rav Papa just teach us? Rav Papa just taught us that if someone has say on his body, and when he sits down, it's visible, he stands up, it's not, then he can't say Krishma. That's neither Rav Chisda nor Rav Huna. Rav Huna says it's always mutter, Rav Chisda says it's always aser. Rav Papa is neither way. Rav Papa is some middle level. Answers the Gemara, a fascinating teretz. Bimekaima, that the case of tsaya in its appropriate place, not appropriate, but where it comes out on the guf, over there, is nafish zuhama. It's disgusting. It's vileness. It smells. Rashi says not only that, it's chama. It's still warm, and that's the reason why Rav Papa gives a special halachos, because it's dafka in that place specifically there. That's the reason why Rav Papa makes up this middle level. However, shalai b'mekaima lay nafish zuhama. When it's out of that area of the body, it's out of the private area. Then where is it? It's on your hand. It's on the floor. It's on your leg. It's on a different area. That's the machlekes of Chisda and Rav Huna. So don't ask a question that Rav Papa is neither Rav Chisda and Rav Huna. It's a different case. Tan Rabbanan, once we're on one halacha of the bathroom, we go further into the bathroom. Tan Rabbanan, halacha b'suda. Let me teach you halacha about a meal. Adam yaitze lahashtin mayim. A person goes to urinate in the middle of the meal. He has to wash that hand. The hand that got dirty from the urine, you got to wash it. V'nechlas, come back into the meal. Diberim chaveirai. Let's say after going to the bathroom, you get stuck, which often happens. You start talking to your friend. You start schmoozing in the middle of the meal. V'hiflik, and a long time elapses. Rashi points out, and you stop thinking about the meal. This is one of these halachas which we mentioned back by brachas. The halacha of a bracha is the bracha goes as long as you stop thinking about the bracha. But when you're mesiach das, you're dealing with something else. No longer does your bracha last. So what do you have to do? Then noitel shtei yadav. What's the reason? Because mesiach das, you're not thinking about your hands. You're dying maskani is him. Your hands go everywhere. So as you're busy schmoozing with your friends, your hands might have touched a private area of your body, might have scratched your head, might have touched your feet, might have touched an area that's full of tsaya, not tsaya necessarily, I'm sorry, part of your body that's a little bit dirty. So says the Gemara, you got to wash both hands. Not only do you have to wash both hands, says this brayso, v'nichnas kishu noitel, v'nichnas. Wash both hands and come in. Now the Gemara explains, kishu noitel, when you wash the hands, lo yitom mibachutz, don't wash them outside and walk in, v'yikanes, v'neichshad. What's everyone going to see? They see you went out to use the bathroom, and then you started schmoozing. You come in an hour later, and you sit down and you eat. What are you doing? How are you eating? Your hands are dirty. They're going to suspect you for eating with dirty hands. So what should you do? You should come in and sit back in your seat, then wash your hands, and then offer everyone else the water to wash their hands so they don't suspect you of eating without your washing your hands. Amar Rav Chisda, and Rav Chisda adds on to this, and the only time you have to be worried that people are going to suspect you is only if you're drinking. If you're eating food, if you're going to touch the food, don't worry, no one's going to suspect you. You know why? Says Rav Chisda, everyone knows that you're very delicate, no one's going to suspect that you use the bathroom or perhaps you touch the covered area of your body and then you stick your hands in the French fry, no one's going to suspect it. If you take a drink and you're not touching the food, then someone's going to say, hey, you don't wash your hands. But if you're eating the food, we don't have to be worried about that. Amar Nachman, right? Yitzchak, he goes one step further. Everyone knows I'm very delicate, no one's going to suspect I didn't wash your hands, therefore I don't have to be worried. I'm allowed to wash their hands outside. Just point out one fascinating halacha when it comes to using the bathroom, touching areas during a meal, a little bit of a not known halacha, that if someone goes to a meal, bathroom, in the middle of a meal, in the middle of a bread meal, a Shabbos Suda, or he changes a diaper, and let's say he touches actual tzaya, the halacha is he has to wash Netilas Yadayim. Halacha number one. Halacha number two is that, and if he's going to go eat bread again, he has to even make a new bracha of al Netilas Yadayim, which is a bit of a debate, but just to point out that halacha, one should at least be aware to wash your hands. Very often you have to make the bracha. Let's leave it at that. Says the Mishnah. Ein adam nichlas la'azar la'avoda afilu tar ad she'yitavel. Says the Mishnah. Halacha. You're walking to the Beis HaMikdash, go to the mik. You're not allowed to go in. Unless you do tefillah in the mikvah, you're not allowed to walk in, but you're tar. Doesn't make a difference, says the Mishnah. Halacha number one of the Mishnah. Halacha number two of the Mishnah, which we're going to deal with more tomorrow. Chamesh tevilos v'asara kiddushin tavel kohen gadol. The kohen gadol did 5 times in the mikvah, 10 times wash his hands and legs by the kiyar on Yom Kippur. Makadish by b'yayim. And the Kohen Gadol, again, Chamish Tfilos Vasar Kedushin Toivel Kohen Gadol Umikadesh B'Yayim. He went to the mikvah and he washed his hands on that day on Yom Kippur. V'Kulan, and all these times, V'Kodesh Al Beis HaParva was in an area that was holy, which was the Beis HaParva, which I'll picture in a minute. Chotz Mizu Bilvad, the first time, which was not in an area of holiness. Parsu Sadin Shalputz, they held up a sheet of linen, Beinoyu Beina'am, and that is when he was Taivel. Let's quickly show a picture over here. Here you see that the Beis HaTfilah Shebekodesh, this was the normal place where he went to the mikvah area, which was holy. And as you see in this picture, you have 2 parts of the Beis HaTfilah. You have the right side, which was Bechol, and the left side, which was Kodesh. And obviously, all the tefillahs were on the left, and Yom Kippur, aside for that one first tefillah, was on the right. Just to show one more beautiful picture, they go through. Anyone who has that Kol Lashon Sefer. In the back, they have a little Seder Avodah, more pictures. Here's a beautiful picture of Parsu Sadin Butz. They held up the sheet so he could go to the mikvah, and here you have him coming out in his golden garments, and here you have the Kohen Gadol doing Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim, washing his hands and his feet. Says the Gemara, Shalu es Ben Zayma, they asked Ben Zayma the following question: Tefillah Zulama, why is he going to the mikvah? Why? Not he, anyone. We said you go into the Azara, you gotta wash your hands, you gotta go into the mik. Why are you going to the mikvah? You're tar. 2 reasons. Amar Lahem, he answers, Uma HaMishnah Ma mishane mi kodesh li kodesh umi makom sheinish karis lemakom sheinish karis. If someone moves, if someone switches from a place of holy to place of holy, if someone switches from a place of karis to place of karis, and yet on tefillah, this is referring to the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, he needs to go to the mikvah. Hamishane mecholi kodesh mimakom sheinoy nishkaris lemakom sheinish karis. Einoy din shita on tefillah. Said Ben Zayma to Kal V'Chaimer, if a Kohen Gadol has to go to the mikvah on Yom Kippur, certainly any other time you're walking into the Beis HaMikdash, you're walking from a mundane place to a holy place, you have to go to the mikvah. What's very important is that according to Ben Zayma, if it's a Kal V'Chaimer, we know Kal V'Chaimer has the status, has the power of a din de'oraisa. Rav Yehuda Aimer, he argues and he says, Tzrach Tefillah hi zu. That this is a Tzrach Tefillah, it's just a reminder. Kedei sheyiskar tumah, just so that you should remember tumah yeshana shebiyadav yifresh. So you should remember that you potentially were tamei, and don't be tamei anymore because you're walking into the Beis HaMikdash. A fundamental machlek is why do you have to go to the mikvah before you walk into the Beis HaMikdash. Ben Zayma learns it out from a Kal V'Chaimer din d'Oraisa. Rav Yehuda learns the din d'Rabbanan. Says the Gemara, what is the underpinnings of this machlekes as we turn over to Lamidam and B? Says the Gemara, they're arguing whether one, if he does not go to the mikvah, what will be the status of the avodah? Will the avodah be desecrated? Will it be possible? It's possible. It's a din d'oraisa, and you didn't do it. You can't do the avodah. According to Rav Yehuda, it was a hecker. It was a reminder, and if you didn't do it, it's true. You didn't do what you're supposed to do. You messed up. You're din d'Rabbanan. But is it going to invalidate and disqualify your avodah? Says the Gemara, no. Machlekes Rav Yehuda and Ben Zayma. Ask the Gemara, Ben Zayma mi mechel? Is that true? According to Ben Zayma, it's going to be possible. Tani learned in a brayse kohen gadol shleitavav lekidish ben beged lebeged ben avodah leavodah. If on Yom Kippur a kohen gadol does not go to the mikvah, between changes his clothing, between different avodas, what's the halacha? Avodas like sheira. What's going on? He didn't go to the mikveh. How's the kosher? Echad kohen gadol, ve'echad kohen hadit. That did what? Shaloikidesh yadav v'raglav shachris. If they never washed their hands by the kiyar, then v'avadav psula. So says the Gemara, Ben Zayma, what are you talking about? It's true that if you didn't wash your hands by the kiyar, then it will invalidate the tefillah. But if you didn't go to the mikveh, we see that the avodah is still kosher. Says the Gemara, you're right. Let me give you a new way of explaining the machlekes Ben Zayma and Rav Yehuda. Elamikam ba'asei kamifli, the machlekes is were you over nasei, a positive commandment to go to the mikvah. Ben Zayma kai ba'asei, the Rav Yehuda like kai ba'asei, you weren't over nasei, you just didn't do the correct thing. Ask the Gemara. Let's go back to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. What did Rabbi Yehuda say in Amar Aleph? He taught us the reason you're going to the mikvah before you walk into the Azara is why? Because a hecker, a din d'Rabbanan, a reminder that you were previously Tameh, you should not be Tameh in the Beis HaMikdash. Obviously, the Rabbi Yehuda Isfar, does Rabbi Yehuda really hold of that reasoning? Vatani, we learned in a Braisa about 10 lines to the top, Mitzayra Taivel Va'imid, Bishar Nikonar. A Mitzayra has to go to the mikvah in Shar Nikonar. Rabbi Yehuda, Aimer, Einay Tzarech, Tefillah, he doesn't have to. If you already went to the mikvah. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, what do we see? We see you don't have to go to the mikvah. Why did you tell me in Amud Aleph that the reason you're going to the mikvah is because you have a reminder? Answers the Gemara, over there, the reason is no, over there it's a different case. We're talking about a mitzayra. He already went to the mikvah the night before. That's why Rabbi Yehuda says he doesn't have to go again. Says the Gemara, 1 second. What was your hava mina? What were you thinking? We just asked the question of Rabbi Yehuda. What's the question at all? The Brisa specifically says he went to the mikveh the night before. So what do we think was the question at all? Answers the Gemara. You know what the question was? Mishum d'kabayi lemirma. Because we wanted to ask Achrita alei a different brisa. Lishkas hamitzayim sheshama mitzayim taivlim, the room that the mitzayer went into the mikvah. Rav Yehuda Aimer loy mitzayim bilvad amru. Not only the mitzayra, elakol adam. Everyone went to the mikvah there. So those two brises are stiras. First, we quoted a brisa that said Rav Yehuda says einoi tzarech tefillah, that the mitzayer does not need to go to the mikvah. Now we're quoting a brisa that says Rav Yehuda everyone has to go to the mikvah. Steering Rabbi Yehuda. It's true. It's not a question back on Rabbi Yehuda by us and Amud Aleph, but within Rabbi Yehuda itself, we have a contradiction. Answers the Gemara. It's not a problem. Like kasha the tavel. The second Bryce is talking about he didn't go to the mikveh yet, so you have to go now. The first Bryce talking about he already went the night before. Ask the Gemara 1 second. If he never went to the mikveh, we know that halacha is you have to wait for nightfall, and he didn't wait for nightfall on that Bryce. Both are talking about he already went to the mikveh. He was a Mesiach Das, he didn't think about it, and therefore he has to go to the mikvah again. Says the Gemara 1 second. The halacha is if you went to the mikvah and you stopped realizing that you were tar, you didn't think about it, you need to be the sprinkling of the para aduma. So what's going on over here? Again, we're stuck with the stira and prices. Rav Yehuda one brisa says the mitzayra does not go to the mikvah. Rav Yehuda the next brisa says not only does the mitzayra go to the mikvah, everyone goes to the mikvah. Answers the Gemara, both of them are talking about that you didn't forget about it and you already went to the mikvah. The first eretz is you went to the mikvah with intent to go into the Beis HaMikdash, so you don't have to go again. The second Bryce is talking about you didn't intend to go to the Beis HaMikdash, so you got to go again. Teretz number 1. We have to change the words of that second brisa. It doesn't read that Rav Yehuda is teaching us that not only Mitzrayim but everyone, but rather Tani Loi Mitzrayim Amru Ela Kol Adam. The Rav Yehuda's argument say that the Mitzrayim does not go, everyone else goes. Another way of answering is stira. And the third way, Ravina Amar Rav Yehuda l'Devreim d'Rabbanan Kamri l'Liditi, says Rav Yehuda, according to me, Mitzrayim Terech Tvila. But l'Dizchu, according to you, the Rabbana, ideally is the Mias. You should at least admit to me the Loi Mitzrayim Bilvad Amru. Not only the Mitzrayim Kol Adam, everyone should go to the mikvah. Meaning, Rav Yehuda is not saying his own opinion. He holds the Mitzrayim does not have to go to the mikvah. He's saying to the Rabbanan, but Rabbanan, you should admit to me that everyone goes to the mikvah. Rabbanan answers the Gemara fascinating teretz, and we'll conclude with this: Mitzayra dayish b'tama, kol adam lo dayishi b'tama. You know what the Rabbanan hold? That a mitzayra is dayish b'tama. That a mitzayra is literally dayish means they trampled upon it. He's steeped in tama. He's fully tameh, and therefore he has to go to the mikvah again. But kol adam lo dayishi b'tama. And therefore, what? He does not have to go to the mikvah. Explains the Ritva. Let's pause right now. According to that teretz we just saw, the Rabbanan just said, Kol Adam lo daishi b'tama. So what do the Rabbanan hold? They don't have to go to the mikvah. Our Mishnah said everyone goes to the mikvah before they go into the Beis HaMikdash. According to this Rabbanan, it's not true. According to this Rabbanan, everyone does not have to go to the mikvah. Only the Mitzayra has to go to the mikvah. We're going to stop from here. That was the lengthy discussion at the end. Was answering up the stira within Rav Yehuda. We got into this from asking on Ben Zayma, back into the Mishnah. We'll pick up from here tomorrow.